Do we have an agenda?
I copied one today. Here you go.
Nice, Jim. Okay. All right.
Thank you.
All right, the gang's all here. It is 7:31, so we're going to call the regular meeting of the Bethany Inland Wetlands Commission together. Well, hello. We're going to call the regular meeting of the Bethany Inland Wetlands Commission together. This is Tuesday, February 17th, 2026. My name is Chris Sullivan. I chair the commission. To my left is
Fritz Horstman, Nick Sauner, Jim Nickel.
And two of our excused members are Paul Mangrino and who else do we have?
Okay.
Oh, Kedrick Becker, who are unable to make it this evening. So, first order of business that we have is a public hearing regarding the application of Joe's Farm LLC, 54 Cedar Road. This is a request for site plan approval and stormwater management plan, re-subdivision and construction of a single-family house. The hearing has been scheduled not because, well, there's some filling of a wetland that's involved, so that's why we're holding this public hearing. The commission members did do a site inspection at the beginning of January, so we are familiar with the site. And with us tonight is Luke Sofair from John Paul Garcia and Associates, who's preparing to get ready to give us a presentation.
We'll see if we can make it work like this.
It's okay, it's all good. To the best of my knowledge, we have received no written comment regarding this application. So since the commission has to make a decision based on the hearing record will be, for all intents and purposes, the presentation that's made by Mr. Sofair, any questions that we have and responses that we get back, and then any members of the public, after we finish that may have comments that they want to make regarding this. Once we close the public hearing, we have 35 days in which to make a decision, but we could make a decision tonight if we feel so inclined. Luke, could you just do me a favor and migrate that chair out of the sight line of your plan? Thank you. Okay. And if you can just introduce yourself for the record.
Yep, thank you for the record. Luke Sofair, licensed professional engineer with John Paul Garcia and Associates, place of business 190 Fairwood Road here in Bethany. Here on behalf of the property owner and applicant Joe's Farm LLC for a two-lot re-subdivision at their piece of property at 54 Cedar Road. I would like to submit into the record proof of certificate of mailing for notice to the adjoiners that was performed in accordance with the regulations.
Okay. Okay.
So for introduction to the property, the subject property is 54 Cedar Road. It's approximately 32.5 acres on the north side at the end of Cedar Road. It has frontage both on Cedar Road and approximately 1,000 feet along Pole Hill Road. There is currently one single-family house developed towards the front of the property, accessed off of Cedar Road, and a single barn in the center of the property. The parcel is in the R130 zone, non-watershed overlay. It has a single wetland system running from north to south along the east side of the property. The applicant proposes to split a single building lot off of their property for his daughter to build a house on. The new lot will be approximately 3 acres in the southeast corner of the property with frontage along Pole Hill Road. Both lots will still meet all bulk regulations for the R130 zone, and no new public improvements are proposed. All access will be directly off of Pole Hill Road. Moving to sheet C3, and I would like to submit for commission members, we do have a revised copy of sheet C3. that I would also like to submit into the record for commission members with some minor revisions that were made per the commission's request at the last meeting.
We'll just note for the record that the revisions are dated 2/17/26.
So going to the site plan, I'll speak generally about it first, and then I can speak about the changes that were made at the commission's request. A single-family house is proposed towards the rear of the property, set back approximately 280 feet from Bull Hill Road. It will be a single-family 4-bedroom house, accessed with a driveway from Bull Hill Road. The house is entirely outside of the Wetlands Upland Review area, which is indicated by this dashed line going through the property. However, the septic system, driveway, and some grading are within the upland review area. The property does have a natural stone wall buffer, which I believe the commission acknowledged noticing when they were on site. That is down gradient of all of the proposed activity in the upland review area, which will act as a permanent erosion and sedimentation control barrier, as well as a barrier for runoff. A driveway is proposed to connect the property to Bull Hill Road, which will result in a small amount of direct wetlands impact, approximately 500 square feet. The wetlands disturbance is entirely at the southern end of the wetland system, at the isolated end. At the last meeting, we submitted an environmental assessment of the proposal that was performed by Soil Science and Environmental Services. I would request that that be entered into the public hearing record as well. And I hope the commissioners have had a chance to review it since the last meeting. I don't want to read the entire report since it will be a part of the record, but I would again like to read an excerpt that they concluded, quote, "After inspecting the project site and reviewing the plan sheets, it is our professional opinion that the proposed small area of wetland impact will not have a significant adverse impact on the functions provided by the remainder of the large wetland that occurs on and off site. And it is our professional opinion that the clearing activities within the regulated upland review area will not have a significant adverse impact on the functions provided by the wetlands as long as the project is developed in accordance with the review plans." As requested by the commission at the last meeting, we have added wetlands mitigation area to offset the proposed direct disturbance. We did consult with SSES, who is the environmental consultant for the project. We proposed a 1,000 square foot wetland mitigation and restoration area, which is a 2-to-1 rate to the direct disturbance of 500 square feet. The proposal is to scrape the existing ground back to approximately elevation 591 to match the edge of the wetlands. All material taken from there will be deposited outside of the upland review area, and the intent is to allow the wetlands to reclaim that area and revegetate with native wetland plants, and again at a 2-to-1 rate to the proposed direct disturbance. Moving to sheet C4. I just want to comment on this. This is a regulatory septic repair plan. All proposed activity is outside of the upland review area. This is in the existing house, so it is a part of the plan set, but all activity is outside of the discretion of this commission. And then sheet C5 is just a detail sheet. So in conclusion, I'll go back to the site plan for conclusion, and then we can answer any questions. The applicant proposes a 2-lot subdivision with construction of a single-family house. We've provided an environmental assessment as requested by the commission, stating that there will be no significant adverse impact to the wetlands as a result of the proposal. Direct impact is only in a small corner at the absolute end of a wetland system, and we propose mitigation at a 2-to-1 ratio as requested by the commission. So we're welcome to answer any questions or open it up to the public for comment.
Okay. Anybody have any questions at the moment?
About this mitigation proposal, the 1,000 square feet of scraped ground, this is to remove the cover of the ground that exists and lower it to the elevation of the wetlands?
Correct.
And allow vegetation to populate it as it will. There's
Correct.
no planting plan here, there's just something like an assumption that the wetlands will move in?
That's what we're proposing currently. We've used that in the past with success.
Okay.
If the commission would request plantings or something to be placed there. We can work with, the zoning enforcer, wetlands enforcement officer to come up with something like that. But this is a method we've used in the past with success, lowering it to the elevation of the water and allowing the natural wetland system to take over.
And in the past, have you had problems with invasive species moving into disturbed areas?
If there were invasive species, that is a concern. We did not note, nor did the environmental consultant note large amounts of invasive species in that area. But we can certainly, if you'd like, again, we can look at some sort of plantings, or we could add a note stating an inspection at a certain time period to make sure that invasives have not taken over the area.
And the construction of the driveway, of course, there's some natural reason to anticipate there will be plenty of things tracked in on the wheeled vehicles and people's boots, since invasive species are up and down the roadsides pretty much everywhere. If they're not there now, which I doubt, there's plenty of reason to expect that there will be some invasive pressure at least. Furthermore, animals can always just pass through and drop things, so that's the general problem with invasive plants that we have around here.
Yeah, I will note we do have an anti-tracking pad proposed at the site entrance as a standard, so the idea would be that would hopefully catch most of what would be tracked in. But
The material, I mean, obviously you're going to have to, how are you going to construct the beginning part where the crossing of the wetlands is? You're going to be removing that wetland material that's there?
correct.
If you're removing that, is there any reason that that material couldn't be deposited in the area where you're scoffing off the material? Because that would put some natural wetland soil back in that area. You know, when we were out there, it was fall, and this isn't a meadow. This is more a wooded, wetland at this stage of the game, so I can't imagine that something like a meadow mix or something like that
And that's why we didn't propose a meadow mix.
Yeah,
It
would
be very-
go.
Yeah.
But I'm just thinking, if the soils have to be removed anyway, the wetland soils, that the logical thing to do would be to transport them up into that area that you're proposing to do and, have some kind of then natural cover. It might mean that you might have to excavate a teeny bit down further. I don't know how much you would remove because that area is smaller than the area that you're proposing to do, but at least closer to the wetland itself, it would help, I would think, with an ease of, adapting back in. And it probably wouldn't be remiss to have some sort of planting done or something, because, if you're scraping this, it's then a blank slate for erosion and all that other good stuff. So to have some control, just to keep water from, there really shouldn't be anything except a surface flow coming down there because you're not disturbing the upland above it. But just to have something natural that would be in there, even if it's like a hay bale wattle or something, just to, maintain, and then that can always get opened and split at some point to create, a natural area where it can just naturally go on its own. And then I would think, and I'll allow other people to comment, that it probably wouldn't be remiss to have some shrub planting, not a huge amount of them, because frankly, that area is not very well vegetated in general. It's a pretty open, at least from my perspective when we were out there. But it wouldn't hurt to have a few, small shrub plants in there of some vintage that would work.
That certainly.
That's the only comment I think I have. And then I'm assuming that the material that you would remove from that area would be used, because it would predominantly be topsoil, somewhere around the existing house.
Correct. That's the intention.
On the upside.
Correct.
Does anybody else have any other comment at this stage of the game? Have you received approval from Quinnipiac?
I believe we have, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So this would be lowering this selected area to 591 feet from what looks like 592, maybe just 1 foot?
Around that, correct.
Yeah.
Are you thinking of doing any kind of, a 1 foot shelf isn't you know, a really dramatic drop or anything, but is there any interest in controlling erosion so that saves this? I'm having a hard time imagining, it's just a strange thing to me, if you end up with, you know, a bit of an elbow in the soil, is this likely to collapse and?
The intention wouldn't for it to be an elbow, the intention would be to feather it out, so it's
Okay.
not, there would, if we built straight, nature doesn't like straight up and down,
Right.
so, no, the intention would be to feather it out.
Okay.
Yeah.
So even more so than that if they use the material, the wetland soils that get removed from down here and put them along the edge.
Yeah, and depending on what's in those soils.
You may
if
have
it's-
some native stuff anyway
There
that
could be a
may
seed
sprout.
bank there,
I don't know.
could be more invasive plants.
You might have mentioned this before, proposed erosion control barrier, what were you gonna use?
Silt fence. And we do again have that double layer of protection with the stone wall that is proposed to remain.
I apologize, I just don't recall where we landed with the possibility of coming in from Cedar Road.
So we have prepared a sketch that I can submit here as an alternative. I explained it at the last meeting. I think showing a plan here, I think would be helpful for people as well. Essentially, it would create major issues from a zoning perspective.
Okay.
So come in from Cedar Road. The issue becomes you're required to have a fee simple access way in the town of Bethany. You're not allowed to have right-of-way access over property of another. We also have to ensure that emergency vehicle access is provided. So combining the required fee simple access way with the turning radius required for an emergency vehicle, you end up with a non-conforming lot width and a non-conforming front yard in the existing house off of Cedar Road. So for those reasons, it is still our contention that the most feasible and prudent option is the direct access off of Bull Hill Road.
Another question about the erosion control barrier that's closer to the house. I think you were describing that as a permanent structure. Is that correct?
No, so the stone wall will remain permanently.
Got it.
The erosion control barrier, it's just a typical, the black silt fence that will be up during construction and be removed once permanent vegetative cover is established.
And by saying the stone wall will remain, that's just to say that during construction, nothing will be done to disturb it, but there isn't any other mechanism, I'm guessing, to ensure that it stays past construction?
The entirety of the stone wall is in the upland review area, so any modification in the future would be subject to wetlands regulations.
Good point, thank you.
And it could also, if the commission was so inclined to approve this, be a condition of permit that that stone wall remain in place in perpetuity to serve as a natural buffer between the upland development. Because if nothing else, it also keeps people from going directly into the wetland. Anybody else got any other questions at this stage of the game for Mr. Sofair?
No.
Okay, so then we'll open the floor to any public comment on this application. We will limit it to 3 minutes of time. If somebody's going to speak and somebody's spoken before you, if you're going to concur with their comments, if you could kindly just say that you do so rather than reiterating it, that would be great. And if you're going to speak, where do you need them? To come up near the aisle?
Just to come up to the front of the table.
And just please state your name and address for the record. So first thing I will ask, is there anyone who would like to speak regarding this application? We always do this 3 times, so it's kind of like 3 times and you're out. Okay, is there anybody who would like to speak for this public application? And the 3rd time is a charm. Would there anybody who would like to speak regarding this application? Seeing and hearing no one, we'll close that portion of the public hearing. Are there any further comments by members or the commission? As I did note before, we did take a site inspection out there. There was no snow when we were out there. It was clear, and at that time we observed no standing water at the point where the crossing would be. There were no leaves on the trees at that point, so the water table should have been coming up, depending on how much rain we'd had and whatnot. So I guess those are my observations from our site visit. Is there any other observation that anyone else would like to make? Other than it looks like the upland part where the house would be a lovely area. Nothing?
No.
Okay. Mr. Sofair, do you have any closing comments?
No, I think we're amenable to all of the potential revisions to the planting area that have been suggested by the commission. We're certainly open, if it's acceptable to the commission, that we could work with the wetlands enforcement officer to come up with plantings to his satisfaction, to satisfy the intent for wetland mitigation and restoration for that area.
Okay. Well, that all being said, can we have a motion to close the public hearing? Don't all speak at
I'll
once.
move to close the public hearing.
I have a second to that motion.
I'll second that motion.
Is there any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. We're going to move on to new business, because we do have a new application that has come in. And that is an application that I will hand out to you here. This is regarding 56 Brooks Road. Is there someone here to chit-chat about that?
These two different things.
No.
You're saying
Oh,
you're-
I'm giving you two, and I should be giving you one. I need one. Okay. So this is an application, we looked at the site plan for this last month when we were here, and we noted that there are some wetlands behind the house on water company property that were shown on the online GIS mapping. So that's why we asked to have something submitted, and they have been kind enough to do that. And so, hey Rob, this is like old home night tonight. All right, if you want to just state your name for the record and go for it.
Okay, I'm Rob White, with Rob White Architect, now not at Bethany anymore.
Oh, no.
241 Townsend Avenue, New Haven, Connecticut. I'm here on behalf of Dana Caliendo and Matt Patel as their architect and their agent for the project. And as the chair mentioned, we learned that there are wetlands or drainage area in the far rear of the property, so we can refer to this commission. So the project we are proposing is in addition to the rear of the single-family home. It is about 685 square foot in footprint. It will be directly attached to the rear of the home. The impact on the property in terms of excavation is minimal. We are proposing this as a slab on grade. Essentially, the grade is slightly below the finished floor elevation, so there's minimal excavation, only as necessary for frost walls and footings. The rear of the yard now is wide open. The tree line's pretty far back, close almost to the water company's rear adjoining line with the property owner. We do have QBHD approval as of December 30th this past year, so that approval's been made as well. So existing septic system. There's a small bathroom, half bath, there's a full bath on the first floor proposed, and that will tie in through the existing house to the existing septic system. The construction site is not far off the existing driveway. It's paved. Access will be made from there. And as far as any erosion control, we have proposed the straw swaddles around the work area, which is fairly limited. With that, I'm happy to answer any commission questions.
You show a soil stockpile. Are they going to use the material on site, or is it going to be removed from site? Or?
It's going to be used on site. The anticipation is that our elevation of our building is actually below where we need it to be.
So you'll fill in around
We'll
there?
probably put it right back, and any fill that is left over will be made directly around the building within the controlled fence area, the erosion control area.
When I'm looking at this plan, which I believe you made, right? Just for clarification purposes, the tight lines together with the little looks like stones in them. Is that showing a stone wall?
Yeah,
Okay.
right, so just for clarification, referring to these, right, those are existing stone walls. There's one at the rear and one on the west side property, viewed from the road.
So while that stone wall is not on the subject property itself, because you can see where the rear property line is, it again is in the application that we were just looking at, is between where the work would be occurring and where the wetlands are on the water company property itself. You kind of show clearing, yeah, I guess that is the extent of existing tree. If I read all your notes, I'd be fine. So that is the extent of clearing around the house that you're kind of showing.
Right, the tree line that's shown on the drawing is the existing, is approximately based upon a couple satellite imageries from the town's GIS sites and online sites.
So there is no new
There's
clearing
There
that
is
has
not
to,
a single tree at
that has
all
to
around the
come down.
house.
And no change to the septic system because you're not adding
No
any
change.
bedrooms, so.
Correct. The tank inspected out properly, so there's no repair work or upgrades needed at the existing system.
So the only thing that we're looking at is that's area of excavation. There's no major excavation in the sense that you're just doing footing foundation
Correct.
and, okay. Anybody have any question?
Nope.
I'm slowly verifying this for myself. The elevation generally goes down toward the wetlands, is that correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
Yeah. It's a pretty gradual slope. So I just had it up here. I remember when I sat on P&Z here, nobody likes to submit pictures that aren't available to the public, so I'm going to show all of you.
Thank you.
So you can see actually the stone wall in the far rear. It's a pretty gentle slope.
Okay.
I personally don't have a need to go out and look at this.
We're about 90, right about 90 feet from the wetlands line. It's the edge of,
93.7, is that?
well, that's the edge to the edge of the property, and it looks like we're
Wetlands.
just
Okay.
a few feet short, whatever, but yeah, pretty close to that.
Yeah,
So-
it's roughly 90 feet from the GIS, documented boundary.
So I have a quick question. There's two rear property lines shown on here.
Yeah,
Is it supposed to be the rear setback
Yeah,
line?
the one towards, closer to the house is the rear setback line.
Okay, so we can make that note. So all of a sudden I'm getting confused going, okay. So you're within the zoning requirements, not that that's our bailiwick at all. So the stone wall is on your property and there are wetlands on the property,
Yeah.
so, okay. Anybody else got any questions? You're looking online, I can tell. I did take a drive-by when there wasn't any snow on the ground. I didn't see any overwhelming issues from the road. I did not go on the property itself.
okay.
You guys okay, Nick?
Yeah,
Jen?
there's erosion control there, I see it. Maybe anything with the tracking pad or any of the, is there a need with any of the,
The driveway's extremely long.
Okay.
I think it's in the realm of 200 feet. It's pretty significant
Okay,
drive down to Brooks
understood.
Road.
And I'm assuming the excavation, because it's only 48 inches deep, is probably going to be done with a smaller machine.
Correct, yeah.
So you're not going to be looking at a big backhoe, but
Yeah.
something that's smaller. And
Yeah,
whatever's,
there's no basement, there's no crawl space proposed.
so I don't see any big equipment going in there. And, you know, if they disturb the grass area that's there, it's going to be in their best interest to replant it
Yes.
anyway, because it's their lawn.
And we've established that everything excavated is going into that stockpile, which will be within the erosion control fence.
Yes.
I'll ask one more time if anybody's got any questions.
No,
Nick, you having
nothing
enough
for
time
me.
to look at this?
Yeah.
You okay? Don't want to rush my crew.
Yeah, no worries. It's easier when we have all these things coming to us online. Read in advance, but yeah, I think I caught up.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Okay. All right. Let's see, we got this, we got this. So, does
Oh, that's
anybody
me. Thank you.
want to take any action on this while we're under new business? And this is here because we don't have it showing up back under old business. If you're comfortable with that. As I mentioned,
This
I'm
being
not,
this?
The
yes,
56.
yeah. I mean, I'm not inclined to want to go out and take a site walk, and
There's not much to see right now.
no, the snow's not melting very fast. But I leave it up to the rest of the crew.
I don't have any issues with it personally.
I'm okay.
You okay?
Yeah.
Somebody want to make a motion? Clock at one. You want an agenda? You want a wordsy about it?
Jim's warming up.
Jim's warming up.
Yeah, that's what I need. Thank you.
We're still working with less staff than we normally have, so we're not quite as prepared as we normally would be.
Okay. I make a motion to approve application 26-1W, request for site plan approval for addition 56 Brooks Road. The addition of the office and the gym addition does not seem to have any material impact to the wetlands, and any erosion controls that they do have seem to be within check, where it's not going to flow outside of the silt fence or the other erosion controls that they have in place. And I am using the map titled SA-1 on 2/2/2026.
I'll second that, and I'll just add to that, if it's acceptable to you, Jim.
Yes.
That as spoken before, that any material that's removed to do the thing that's placed in the stockpile will be used immediately around the new addition to the house. And that as soon as possible, that area, disturbed area, be seeded with appropriate seed mix for the lawn that I'm assuming the homeowners would like reestablished. And if you would accept that?
I accept.
Okay. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Okay. Got yourself a Goombie job. Sorry you moved out of town. Jeez. We lost a good guy. All right. So now we're moving on to old business, and our first item of old business is that which we had at our hearing earlier this evening, Joe's Farm LLC, 54 Cedar Road. This is the application for site plan approval and stormwater management plan, re-subdivision and construction of a single-family home. Anybody got any inclination to want to, site plan? Where were you? Luke, There were other sheets that went with this? I ran out of the house quick and I didn't bring my full set.
Yes, we have
The same as you have.
Yeah,
the original floor plan set. I can bring it up if you'd like.
yeah, if you could.
This-
Oh, no, I'm looking for this plan set. The folded plans.
Here's these.
These guys, all right. So, just to move us along, I move that we accept and approve application by Joe's Farm LLC, for property located at 54 Cedar Road. It's application number 1396 for site plan approval, stormwater management plan, re-subdivision and construction of a single-family house as shown on plans prepared by John Paul Garcia and Associates, sheets C1, C2, C3 as revised to 2/17/26, C4 and C5, all of those plans being dated 12/2/25 with no revision date except as noted for sheet C3. Subject to standard conditions and the condition that any wetland soils to be removed from the installation of the driveway coming off of Pole Hill, that those wetland soils be put in to the proposed wetland mitigation area after it has been scraped as shown on the plans, in that portion of that mitigation area closest towards the wetland, and that a hay bale wattle be installed on the outside of that mitigation area until such time as that area is stabilized, and that there be a submission of a plan, a planting plan for some, but not a huge amount of shrubs that will work in that forest understory that can be approved by the Wetlands Enforcement Officer. The permit was being approved because while there is a marginal filling of some wetlands with the mitigation that's proposed, there should be minimal or no additional impact to the on-site wetlands, the majority of which are to the north and feeding under Pole Hill Road to the extensive wetlands on the eastern side of Pole Hill Road. And a second to that?
A second?
Is there any discussion?
I'm still pretty concerned about the scraping proposal here. That does not create new wetlands. It relies on natural processes to do so. Those processes are entirely questionable. And of course, it's not a change to the soil composition, which is the definitional matter of wetland composition. It's just the soil that's there, and it is a disturbance, and we didn't discuss the methods. I kind of wish I'd asked when the time was right. So I'm wondering if that particular part is something we should approve or suggest an amendment to, particularly passing the buck for approval of the planting plan that we are requiring to the enforcement officer is something troubles me a bit, given that
Do you have a better knowledge of plants than he might have?
I don't know our enforcement officer. I
Okay.
don't know.
We
who the
have a new
proposal is coming
enforcement
from, and the
officer.
answer is quite possibly yes.
Okay. We could also have Martin Brogy, who is a soil scientist, review that. Or have that planting plan submitted to Martin Brogy for review and sign off.
Wasn't it always also offered an assessment after a certain time period?
This isn't, there are plantings that are going to go in here, and because they're going to be excavating down, wetlands can be created in shorter than decades or hundreds of years. So by getting the surface down where water could then naturally go in if there is a higher season or just the water table coming up there, it may surface more. We could we could revisit it, but it's not like we're doing the extensive plantings that we've done on other sites where, it's a reclamation kind of thing and we're looking at it. The understory, when we went out here and looked to, there really wasn't a lot of brush out there. It was mainly trees. So to me, to put some kind of, shrub that's gonna work out there, is gonna get some kind of root process going that's gonna help stabilize the area.
Right, what I had meant was an assessment after the fact, because
To do what?
to check that it's growing properly and that it's stabilized after a certain period.
And what would you suggest that assessment period be?
I have no clue, but
We're
it
used to
was,
receiving proposals, not making them on that particular question, but, there's plenty of precedent from other proposals that we could refer to if we want to prepare
Well, we're in the
something.
middle of a motion, so if you want to amend the motion to include something, now is the time to do it.
it was just an idea that it was a
I'm not telling you to back
That's
down.
good.
I'm just saying, if somebody wants to do that, we have two options. We can either act on this motion tonight, or we can defer it, but we've only had a public hearing and we've closed it, so we can introduce no new information. So unless you're gonna spend the time thinking about it, you're not gonna be able to go out and get more information upon which to make a decision.
So with the motion made and seconded, is there still the opportunity for deferral here? Is that something we would vote on?
Well, you would introduce the idea of having Martin Brogy sign off on it. Is that something we can include now?
Yeah, in lieu of saying that subject to approval of the planting things by the enforcement officer, whom none of you have met, it could be subject to review and approval by Martin Brogy, who's an expert that we've used in the past.
I like that. I like going with Martin.
I mean, he's done reclamation plans, he knows what he's looking for. I got 4 nods, I've got a, I'm not putting any pressure on you, Nick, take as much time as you want.
What do we,
They've all nodded that they're comfortable with the idea of Martin, in lieu of the enforcement officer reviewing the planting plan, having Martin Brogy as our expert review the planting plan.
so is that what's going on the record as the amendment to the motion?
We
that you
haven't
made?
gotten there yet, because I'm still waiting to hear from you.
Oh, okay. All right, no, fair on that. And the purpose of making this his decision would be to move forward with the motion as we vote on it today, as opposed to having it be something that we would have direct input on. We would just defer the decision as opposed to making it ourselves, this planting plan that's going to be produced.
Right, because I'm not a planting expert, and I don't know that any of us are. And if our concern is that we don't know if the enforcement officer is an expert, because we haven't met him,
I mean, there are a lot more concerns than that. So I could review them if you like.
about what? We're in the middle of a motion, so you need to bring them up.
Yeah, I did. Again, this is not a simple, straightforward, and what I understand to be a reliable method to reproduce wetlands. I understand some of the arguments that I've heard today for the first time about this particular procedure. I'm not particularly sold on it. And yeah, if we were to consult with Martin before approving the plan, that would be an easier thing to vote on. Whereas at present, this is
You're finding it hard to vote on.
not something I have confidence in. I could vote.
Oh,
You're afraid that their invasives are gonna take over.
That's
You're
one of several.
You're concerned.
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of cause for that concern. In addition to which, this isn't what I understand is a clear, direct mitigation of the disturbance to the existing wetland, nor replacement of it by new wetland. It's a maybe in that regard. And in the meantime, there is disturbance of soil and area adjacent to a wetland, which, if done carefully, is fine, but I guess I haven't heard enough to be confident about the care that's going to be involved. The feathering process, the excavation process, if this involves wheeled vehicles, going off the path that the driveway needs to be built in. That's additional disturbance to wetland adjacent territory and, of course, bare soil, disturbance to the existing vegetation, which, in my opinion, we didn't assess very thoroughly given the season. Yes, no bushes, nothing that wouldn't have died back given the time of the year. But whatever will come up, for instance, spring ephemerals, completely invisible at that time of year. So there's a lot of minor concerns, basically, and
Okay.
rather than this
Okay.
being, may I finish? Rather than this being an issue with the overall application, frankly, this is my personal concern about the additional disturbance being proposed as a mitigation that, in my opinion, might actually make things worse.
Okay, so why don't we go round robin and we'll ask the first question. Does anybody not want the mitigation to happen? We've already heard your opinion. Or are you comfortable with something going forward?
I would agree with Nick that the mitigation is questionable and would be happy to have that not included.
I think that this is something that Martin Brody can assess as well, if you want an expert opinion.
That'd be nice.
Problem is, you've closed a public hearing. And this is all a learning curve for everybody. When you close a public hearing, you're acting on what's in the record. So, one of the things that you could do is you could make a permit subject to a more detailed plan to be approved by the commission and/or its consultant for the proposed wetland mitigation area.
I'm good with that.
I think subject to approval by our consultant.
No, I'm saying subject to them submitting, and then it comes back to us, and then we're gonna review it, and we may review it by having Martin look at it, but the ultimate decision rests with this body. So we would approve the concept.
Right.
And they would have to come back with a more meaty information plan.
Is that an amendment?
No, that's what I'm proposing, and I'm asking for discussion.
That sounds like a good proposal.
Agreed.
So if everybody's agreeing to that, then I would amend my motion to strike that which I originally said, and say that we will have revised, detailed information submitting regarding the proposed wetland mitigation area to be reviewed by our consultant, Martin Brogy, and then acted on in final form by the commission itself. And you seconded it? My
I
portion?
initially had, yeah.
Okay, are you amenable to that?
I am.
Okay, so we now have an amended motion. So, is there any further discussion on this application at this stage of the game? Hearing none, I'm going to call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Okay. Got that?
Where does that leave us? I've never heard.
That means you've gotten approval, but we need to get a detailed plan for the mitigation that you're proposing. So the activities are proposed, as proposed or approved, but we need a more detailed mitigation plan.
Understood.
And that can come,
And that also means that it's going to be approved by our
when
consultant.
we get it, it will get referred to Marty.
That's right.
And Marty will comment back to us, and then we can take final action on that. Because
Understood.
the mitigation is going to be one of the last things that you would be doing. I mean, as you're doing the road, you're going to take that material that's wetland material, you're going to stockpile it somewhere. And then, you know, we have to have a season that's conducive to doing that work. And so, it's not going to hold you up.
Yeah, I just wanted to understand the procedure. Thank you.
Okay? And I gave you that back. Okay. All right. We are now on to 34 High-End Court. As part of 34 High-End Court, we got a letter from Nugent and Bryan dated January 23rd, 2026. And I can pass this around because nobody got a copy of this, because again, we're without staff.
I have copies with me if you'd like additional copies.
And you are?
Patrick Nugent from Nugent.
If you
and
have
Bryan.
additional copies that my commission members could look at, that would be lovely. We just hired a new enforcement officer, so
Thank you.
we're a little behind the 8 ball in terms of us being up to snuff and getting stuff in advance of meetings. So, let's see. First off, we should all just note that we were going to try to inspect this site, and we didn't get to because there's this funny white stuff that's still on the ground. So we haven't done a site inspection yet because there's nothing for us to see yet. And then we get to, so, Section 9 of our wetlands regulations say, Inland Wetlands Commission shall not hold a public hearing on an application unless the Inland Wetlands Commission determines that the proposed activity may have a significant impact on wetlands or watercourses. A petition signed by at least 25 persons who are 18 years of older who reside in the municipality in which the regulated activity is proposed requesting a hearing is filed with the Inland Wetlands Commission not later than 14 days after the date of receipt of the application, or the Inland Wetlands Commission finds that the public hearing regarding such application would be in the public interest. So we don't have a petition, right?
Signed by 25 people?
Right.
Correct. We are,
So under what regulation are you asking for this hearing?
it's our position that for the public hearing, these involve pipes discharging directly into the wetlands, which may have a significant adverse effect on the wetlands, and for that basis, holding a public hearing.
And we haven't been able to determine that yet because we haven't been able to get out there and see it.
Correct, but this application included a soil scientist report, which does say that there is discharge directly into the wetlands.
Okay. As you're quoting here, it says digging of 2 minor trenches for installation of a 5-inch drainage pipe discharging into the wetlands. And I'm assuming those are footing drain pipes.
It doesn't, the application doesn't say what the pipes are connected to and where they're discharging, what is discharging out of them. It says drainage pipes, which these pipes were installed shortly after an addition was completed on the house. The application doesn't say whether those pipes are from that addition. And part of the letter is a request for public hearing, but also in opposition. And I'm here on behalf of Mr. Latella, an abutting landowner. These pipes are discharging not only directly into the wetlands, but into his property. And
And so part of what we have to do when we look at an application, especially an after-the-fact application, which is what this is, let me please finish. Thank you very much. Is we go out and we do a site visit. And one of the things that we look at is what's occurred and if we want to permit that. And it could be, once the snow is gone, so we can see what's out there, that we determine that where it ends isn't where it should end. And therefore, corrective work would need to be done to pull those pipes back. So this isn't an application for an activity proposed. This is an application for an after-the-fact permit.
Correct.
And it's not submitted vis-a-vis a petition. And what you're asking is that the commission now determine, based on no site visit at all, that the proposed activity may have a significant impact on the wetlands or watercourses. Does that make any sense to anybody?
Mhm.
So I don't think is our applicant here tonight? Hi. So I would tend to think that the weather hasn't been very cooperative for us because nobody's looking at anything. And that if you would be so amenable, given the pipes already exist, they're not going anywhere. We need to be informed when we make this decision. Hopefully the snow will melt sooner rather than later, and whatnot, so that in the event that we couldn't do a site inspection, I guess what I'm trying to get at is we need to do a site inspection. We need to make a determination whether or not what's out there we can live with or we can't live with. Do the pipes exit onto your own property or onto the...
They exit onto our own property.
They exit onto your own property. Do they exit? I can only remember being there when you were doing, before you had done the addition. Your house sits here. There were wetlands to the back. So if this is High-End Court, your house was here, there were wetlands here. There's also wetlands here. Do the pipes exit this way or do they exit? And I'm sorry, we don't have your application file here.
You don't?
We have no staff, so everything's down in the other room. I could run down and get it.
I mean, I can give you some copies.
One is fine,
One's fine?
yeah. We do have them, it's just that they're not here at the moment. And I don't mean to make mountains out of molehills or not make mountains out of molehills. But I really don't want this commission to be used as a sounding board one way or the other against people. That is not our purpose. Our purpose is to protect the wetlands. And so if we can do that with less fuss and bother, and achieve what we're supposed to achieve, that at least is my intent. I don't know about everybody else on the commission, but that's my intent. I'm sorry, I can run down to the other room and see if I can find your file.
I got it, although it's just, the map's just kind of small.
It's got a noxious smell.
The map.
So it's kind of small.
Oh, it's small. Oh, I thought you said it had a noxious smell.
Small. The
Okay.
map is small. So it's the,
So this is the house, this is the addition. And the pipes go where?
so let me see if I can say.
Here's your addition. And I was right, the house is here,
Right,
the
so
addition
there's-
was here, and there are wetlands back here.
Right, so there's one pipe just goes from the back of the addition, from the gutter to the back of the addition, about 25 feet.
Oh,
to the
is this
backyard,
it?
Right? And then,
No, that's from the fence, okay.
and then there's one that comes out towards the side and goes towards the pond.
And the
that-
pond is here.
Right, and that's about 100 feet. And that's the one that's closest to the 38 high-end.
Okay, so it's a pipe going this way. All right. So for you guys, we have a small thing. So the pipe that's of the most concern is the pipe that comes from this side and goes out on the adjoining property here. There's an old cattle, I think it was an old cattle pond. And that pipe is going that way,
Okay.
okay? But all the piping activity is on your property per se, okay?
So it ends prior to the boundary.
It's all on his property.
His property is that property, right?
This is his property.
Yep.
All of the piping is self-contained on his property. It is not extending onto your property. Am I correct?
I just want to clarify one thing. So there's actually 3 pipes, not one.
Okay,
And the 3 pipes in question are within roughly about a foot or so of the property line.
okay. But the pipes themselves are on his property. So if he has to do any work, if we give him a direction to do something on his property, he does not involve permission from you. I'm just looking to make sure that we don't need a co-signature on an application for this. Okay, that's all I'm looking for. So you're good in terms of everything's on your property. I think we still need to be able to go out there.
Yep.
And so I guess what my question to you, if I can correctly phrase it, is normally we would have to start, if we were so inclined to hold a public hearing, we would have to start it within 35 days, no, I'm sorry, 65 days of when we received the application. To the best of my knowledge, we received your application at last month's meeting. We were trying to,
Well, the application was filed on December 24th.
right, but under the statute and under our regulations, that's the submission date, so you submit then, and the receipt date is the next regular meeting, or within 35 days of when you submitted, whichever becomes first. So in this case, we had a meeting before we hit 35 days. So our receipt date is the January meeting. We are now hypothetically at 35 days, even though we're not. So if we were to start a hearing, we would need to start it next month. What I'm asking is, and you can say yay, nay, or indifferent, if we can get out there and look at this thing and then make a determination, we would have to come back to our regular meeting in March to make a determination, because anything we do has to be out in the public eye. We can't hide, nor should we. We need to be transparent. Would you be amenable, should we determine that we needed a public hearing, to giving us an extension of time to start a public hearing? Does that make sense?
It seems to me as if this,
I mean, the weather is not working in our favor.
I mean, it seems to be a scenario where it doesn't really lend itself to a public hearing.
Okay, so thank you. That's what I needed from you. So, now commission members, here we go. You thought this was going to be a simple meeting tonight, but it's not. So, here we go. So we have a request for us to make a finding that there is under our regulations, the activity, it's already occurred, may have a significant impact on wetlands or watercourses. And therefore schedule a public hearing for our next regular meeting in March. Or do you want to make a determination, absent having not been able to get out there, that it doesn't rise to the occasion of a significant impact? Now, a significant impact means any activity, including but not limited to the following activities, which may have a major effect. So we're starting to use key words here. Now we've got the word major involved. Any activity involving deposition or removal of material which may or may not have a substantial effect on the wetland or watercourse or wetlands or watercourses outside the area for which the activity is proposed. Any activity which substantially changes the natural channel or may inhibit the natural dynamics of a watercourse system. Any activity which substantially diminishes the natural capacity of an inland wetland or watercourse to support aquatic plant or animal life or habitats, prevent flooding, supply water, assimilate waste, facilitate drainage, provide recreation or open space, or perform other functions. Any activity which is likely to cause or has the potential to cause substantial turbidity, siltation, or sedimentation in a wetland or watercourse. Any activity which causes substantial diminution of flow of natural watercourse or groundwater levels. Any activity which is likely to cause or has the potential to cause pollution of a wetland or watercourse. Any activity which damages or destroys unique wetland or watercourse areas or such areas having demonstrable scientific or educational value. So before I ask you to answer what your opinion on all that is, I'm going to ask you as the applicant, are these footing drains?
They go from the gutters.
The roof leaders?
Yeah, the roof leaders.
Okay, so they're not curtain drains, they're roof drains exiting out. Okay, so now we know where the source of water comes from. Okay, so we have an activity involving deposition or removal of material. Well, we know it's not removing because it's there. So any activity involving deposition or removal of material which may or may not have a substantial impact. We're not filling, we're not removing, so I think we knock that one out. Any activity which substantially changes the natural channel or may inhibit the natural dynamics of a watercourse system. This isn't affecting a channel. This is a pipe that's dispersing.
Well, the pipe wouldn't be the channel, it would be the wetlands.
Right, so a natural channel. So there's no channel.
Well, we haven't seen the wetlands, so
We don't know that.
Right.
But the key word here is substantially. Okay.
You also have no info.
I'm just trying to go through this so that we can all comment on it and make an
Did you want to
informed.
finish before we comment?
Do you think that there's something substantial?
I don't know. That's, I think, our.
It's a roof drain. It's a roof leader. You have a roof leader on your house? How much flow comes off a roof leader, how often, and what type of?
Depends on the size of the roof, it depends on the storm event, it depends on the width of the gutter and what's at the end of it, among other things.
Are you inclined to hold a public hearing on this thing?
I don't really have an opinion.
Well, we need to make a decision because we've got a letter requesting it, and I'm trying to walk through something so that we can come up with the most intelligent decision we can make. If we don't want to go through this, which is the only way I could think of doing it, because, they're asking us to do it as a significant impact.
If you want to keep going through it, we can do that, but we should be honest about everything that we're discussing here.
But no, we should be. Any activity which substantially diminishes the natural capacity of an inland wetland or watercourse to support aquatic life. So you're going to say we don't know.
What would you say?
What would I say? I would say this is a roof drain. And if it's a roof drain, more likely than not, and if it's ending on a wetland, I may end up saying, pull it back, or take it and bury it and put it into a basin in the, a dry well in the ground. I'm not looking at this as rocket science stuff. It's a roof drain for an addition. It's not even the whole house. And we have to exercise common sense. But I'm one person, so
How would you express the common sense that you perceive in this situation?
I would go with not needing a public hearing and go out there and look at it. And then if we felt that we needed Brogy or somebody to look at it, or Martin or Jim Preety to look at it and say, hey, if this was your design, what would you do? I would run with that. I don't need a public hearing where I've got sour grapes from one neighbor to another. I'm tired of this whole thing.
Absolutely. So just to clarify, what we're deciding now is whether we are moving ahead to have a public hearing or in a future date when we can get out to do a site visit. Is that?
We need to still do a site visit, and I'm
Absolutely.
hoping that we can get this done before our regular meeting in March, because we have 65 days to act. And unless we have an applicant who's gracious, who gives us an extension of time, we have to act
Yep.
in March. We can act and deny without prejudice because we don't have enough information. That's an option that we have.
So what we're going through right now is really just a matter of,
We have-
does this cross the threshold to need a public hearing?
Right, based on the assertion that we've gotten in the letter that they haven't sought a petition because they're saying it's a more imperative case that there's a potential for significant impact. And so I'm trying to get us to weigh, without having been able to go out there and look at this sucker, whether or not we've got a significant impact.
Okay. Did you want to continue through the,
What, you guys tell me.
were there?
I'm
some-
trying to train you. I'm not going to be here forever. Somebody's going to have to do this.
Please don't go. I'm not sure that this is a substantial impact. I think that this is potentially an impact, and I understand this is after the fact application. But I don't think that this is a significant impact. I think that we've seen other impacts in this commission that is substantial.
I mean, I think when we were out on, where the heck were we, where we had to have them re-channel,
The channel.
that was
substantial.
that was
That's exactly what I
substantial.
was talking about.
this
This is not that.
this is something that's, yeah, I mean,
I don't
you weren't
think-
here for that, but we had a channel
That's what
where
I was
they went
talking
in
about.
and we literally had to have them armor a channel that was 10 feet wide, 4 feet deep, hundreds of feet long, that was eroding the material in the
River.
on-riprap channel into a wetland.
River.
That was a significant impact. This, not so much, in my
Right.
book. But I'm only one person.
No, I agree.
So is substantial the specific point of decision that we use to decide whether we can deny the request for a hearing specifically? Well,
We have to find we have to find
The definition.
unless the Inland Wetlands Commission, so the neighbor can say as much as they want to say. They've brought it to our attention. It is now our decision whether or not we determine that the proposed activity, in this case, it's not proposed, it's already happened. So we have to say the activity has had or may have a significant, and that's the key word, impact on wetlands or water courses.
and the threshold we use for significance is
And
up
then
to our
we,
discretion.
and then we go into significant impact, and these are the definitions of significant impact as given to us by the state
State.
DEP.
Vague like most of the regulations.
So when you read these things, the word that jumps out at you in the very beginning is major effect, substantial effect. So it's not saying that we don't want something to happen. We have the ability to go out there and determine that something is happening. And we want to fix that and say, okay, pull it back. Put a riprap spreader at the end, bury it in the ground and put I don't even know if that would work because the water table may be high enough that you may not be able to do that. But even if you just said, okay, put a level spreader on the end of it with a concrete rim at the end so that it's going to have a dispersed overland flow, there's things that can be done. And we haven't had the opportunity to
Right.
do it because the weather's just not been with us.
Right,
And otherwise, we would have gone out and had that information.
no doubt.
And there really isn't anything that the neighbors or any public person could tell us anything different without us going out there.
No, I mean, we can go, as I say, we have the ability to go out. When we see it, It was like when we went out to the one on, where the heck it was. It was on the other side of town. And as soon as we went out and we saw that there was a real issue here, we had Preeti come out and give us advice. You know, I'm not an expert, you're not an expert. This is why we have consultants. And we can ask them. You know, we're not poo-pooing the idea that there may or may not be an impact. It's just, does it rise to a public hearing? And I don't think it does. I think you've got to give us enough credit for going out there and seeing what's out there and knowing that we're going to have to, you know, look at something.
So do we need to have a motion to not have the public hearing?
I'm sorry.
I don't know. I mean, we have a request.
Is there an allowance based on the fact that there's been snow cover and we haven't been able to, by no fault of our own, been able to get a site visit because of the snow cover? There's got to be some sort of allowance of time because of
The
that.
only allowance that we get is if the applicant gives us an extension of time. Absent that, we have to act, either schedule a hearing
In March.
for March, or we take potluck and see if the snow melts and get out there, and then come back in March and say, okay, this is what we saw, and, you know, in the interim, if we go out there in the field and we go, oh my God, you know, it's eroding all over the place, and we get, you know, we either ask the applicant to come up with some method of whatever, or we have Jim come up with something, you know.
Can we ask the applicant to, if there is still snow cover, to like shovel off the pipes or where the disbursement of the pipe goes into the wetlands?
Do you know if we haven't had much rain.
I mean,
So
you
I don't
know,
even know if
it's-
the pipes are
Tomorrow we
open.
will.
It's inclined off.
Are we getting rain tomorrow?
Yeah.
I'm inclined to bring my own shovel
Oh,
if I
okay.
need to.
I mean, is that something you could watch? I mean, I don't want to go out onto your property but we need to be able to see it.
Sure. I mean, what is it that you're proposing?
We want to get out there to do a site visit.
Right.
Yeah.
So
And
you
we
want-
want to
you
be
want
able
to
to
snow?
see the end of the pipe where it
Okay.
comes out so that we can see. You know, it's pretty obvious if there's scour, we're going to see scour.
So just to clear the snow from the...
If you clear the snow, I mean, it has been melting. I don't know what you've got. I've still got a foot in my yard.
Yeah.
I think there's 3 pipes in question.
Right.
Well, the main one is the one that's going, or there's 2 that I guess are going out towards there, so whatever. We're looking at pipes. So whatever pipes are going that way that are on your property that end short, we'd like to see the ends of them.
Okay. I'll take care of that.
And then what I would suggest is that we, if he can do that we get out there in as timely a fashion as we can, so we can see it before there's another snow occurrence.
This weekend?
I'm fine with this weekend. You guys?
Sure.
Sundays?
Provided they can do the unshoveling and the uncovering by this weekend.
Can you
Currently
safely
a snow
do it
forecast on Sunday
Sunday at morning or afternoon?
afternoon.
Okay.
So Saturday?
So Sunday morning or Saturday? We can always take pictures for people who can't come. What works best for you?
Either one is okay, whatever works best for the commission.
Saturday works best for me.
Doesn't matter to me.
That's fine.
8:30?
Sure.
Close for you.
I love it.
I know. So we're going to assume 8:30. And if you can shovel, and if for some reason
Okay.
you can't get it, if something comes up,
Right.
I'm just trying to figure out the best way to
You
contact.
can you have my email address, right?
Okay, so I should just...
He can email me and then I can call you.
Okay, so if you
If
can
you're
contact
okay with that.
Stephanie
If there's-
and let Stephanie know, and then we'll go from there. And then we'll take pictures and we'll make a more informed decision. Because basically what we're looking for is where it's ending, is there scour? And, you know, do you know if there's any riprap at the end of the pipe?
there's any,
Riprap, it's like stone where the pipe
oh, where
exits.
it exits? You know, I don't know.
Okay, so we'll look at that when we're out there. So,
And so we're saying no public hearing.
I'm not.
I'm in favor of that also. I just want to be clear.
Okay, so
that
let's
that's-
just take a, public hearing, yea or nay? No?
Mm-mm,
Nick?
no.
What?
Oh, not Nick, Jim, I'm sorry.
That's fine.
Nichols' last name, I'd start doing Nick's.
No problem.
So I've got 4 who don't want to push for a public hearing, but I respect your opinion.
Thanks. I'm still a bit confused as to what purpose the hearing would serve. I feel like
That's not the point. I mean, we've got a request for them asking us to schedule a public hearing. And our decision at this stage of the game is, do we think that we should have one? And
So, for my personal opinion, it is the point. I would like to know what purpose it would serve. Otherwise, I kind of don't have an opinion.
then ask the attorney why he thinks that this is a great idea, that we need to have a public hearing.
Right, so what function would you expect the hearing to serve for your purposes?
To explore why these pipes were put to discharge directly into the wetlands and into Mr. Latella's property when there could be alternatives. We don't know as to why they were put there, and explore that issue.
And so a public hearing is going to give you what? We can't ask the question, a very simple question. You know, it's probably because they wanted to get it through their backyard and not have the pipe discharge in the middle of their yard.
What do you mean by explore this?
To have the hearing like we had earlier this evening.
I mean, I know what hearings are like, but what exploration process would you expect to follow in a hearing that would give you more information as to why this is done the way it is? Is that correct?
So that this commission could benefit from hearing other voices as to questions as to why these pipes were put here, what effect they have on the wetlands, and what alternative options may be available.
Did you not listen to anything that I said before?
This,
I'm just saying, we are a commission that has to use the wetland regs. Our job is to protect the wetlands. We are going to go out there and see what's out there. And based on that, we will take appropriate action.
certainly.
We don't need people explaining what our regs are to us. We can see with our own eyes, unless there is a channel that's eroded out there or something like that. It may be as simple as pulling something back and having a level spreader there. Do you know what a level spreader is?
Yes.
Okay, so you know how they function. They disperse the water. You want to have a concrete lip at the edge so that you're not concentrating the flow one way or the other, because that's what we're trying to avoid, is a concentrated flow. And the other thing we have to look at is, did habitually the water go that way? Is it just going into a wetland where it ended up anyway? And I think you got to give us a little bit of credit for understanding what the wetlands regs are. And I'm sorry you haven't been involved in this, but we've been being used as the punching bag by multiple different groups throughout this town, and it's getting a little tiring. We just want to be able to do our job.
We did not come here with any intention to lecture you on the regulations, and I apologize if any part of my speaking today did that. We have a neighbor who's concerned about discharge directly into the wetlands on his property, and he's hoping and seeking all recourse available to him.
Okay.
And we thank this commission for its patience and its diligence and attention to this matter.
So what we've decided to do is that we're going to go, the applicant has agreed to clear the end of the however many pipes we need to see the ends of. We will go out and take a look see at the ends of the pipes. Personally, what I'm going to be looking at is to see what's under the snow. Is there erosion that's there? Is it wetlands that's there? And then we go from there.
And if I may briefly add, because these pipes are so close to Mr. Latella's property, this commission will likely have to enter his property to be able to view the pipes.
No, he has a backyard that's a lawn.
you might not be able to see the
Trust
pipe
me.
from that angle. And
If it stops short, I can bend over and look on the inside of a pipe. Trust me.
well, we would.
I may be 73, but I can bend over and look at stuff.
There are a couple feet of space between the border and,
They're all on your property, right?
That's correct.
so,
It's very close, but all we're asking is that if it were to get rescheduled, the inspection, that Mr. Latella be notified so that if there is.
If we were going to trespass, if we find a need when we are out there to go on to, that we would benefit from seeing the pipes from the adjoining property, we can certainly, we know where you are, and we can say, hey, you know, we really think that the additional information that we get by going, traipsing through the wetlands on that property would be a benefit for us to understand better, and sometimes that's what we need to do, to see something. So I'm not being facetious, but, you know, give us a crack at going out and seeing what we can see, and then we'll go from there.
Thank you, we're just asking for notice, thank you.
Okay? No, we would not trespass on, we only have permission to go on 34, and that's all we're going on. Right? Right? All right. Everybody in agreement? So you're gonna clean pipes. If there's an issue, you're gonna get a hold of Stephanie. I will write a notice that we're gonna, at 8:30 on Saturday morning,
21st.
go out to 34, whatever, High End Court. I remember when it was a cornfield, and there were a lot less problems in general because it was just a cornfield. And then Mrs. Carrington needed money to go into an old folks home, so she had to subdivide the property, and that's why it's a subdivision. And that's that. Okay, is everybody all set?
I'm all set.
Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Okay, take good care. All right, we are now on to Peter Forchetti. Peter's not here, he's not here. We'll see him next month. And I told him he has to be here. He knows we're not happy. And John Paul's coming up with some kind of restoration plan. And that one we're gonna have Martin look at. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. Because, you know, we've got an area that material got pushed into, that we're gonna have to pull that out, and we're gonna have to do plantings, and on and on and on.
And
So,
then the other, the ask of keeping some,
Basketball court.
oh, not that, I'm sorry. You've already got a paved area used for basketball. And I get it. It's, sometimes we face these things where, in this particular case, there's a family matter that he's trying to address by having these things done. But the problem that we have is we are the overseers of the wetlands. And it's like with a variance, you don't issue a zoning variance for something that's temporary, because a variance stays with the land forever. If we let something happen, it's there forever. And if that family circumstance changes, they move, somebody else comes, that's not a reason to have it there anymore. So while it's difficult to sometimes come up with that decision that unfortunately this isn't something we can do, even if it might benefit somebody, it's just something that we can't consider.
He didn't even ask about it. I mean,
No, he just did it. He just did it. So, all right, so we did the thing. We have 3 sets of minutes. I sent you, did I send you all 3?
I saw 2.
Yeah, you sent 2, I think.
I sent you August and I sent you January?
Yes, that's correct.
All right, I don't know what happened to December, but at least we got August. So I'd like to move that we accept and approve the minutes of August 18th, 2025 as completed. I have a second?
I wasn't on the board, I think.
I second?
Okay, is there any discussion? Please say no.
No.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, abstentions, you want to abstain?
I wasn't on the board.
Yeah, that's fine. So we've got a majority approval, so those minutes are done and approved.
sorry, the January one that it said in the beginning, the chair made a motion for somebody to come forward in the very beginning. I just wanted to, I'm okay with it. It was like kind of weirdly,
Do you have a suggested change for that you could send to staff?
just omit that.
Oh.
Omit that sentence. Are you probably bringing it up by chance?
I'm trying, yeah.
Thank you. It's, sorry, Chris, it's just in the very
No,
beginning.
I mean, these stay with the thing forever, so.
It's like the very first paragraph. The chair asked somebody to approach the front of the room to present.
Just strike that sentence.
Strike that sentence completely out.
Yeah, we just need to start with Tiana, whatever,
Yeah, thanks, man.
presented the report for her company. This is under 34 High-End Court.
Okay,
So we're gonna strike in this, where it starts, the chair asks someone to approach the front of the room to present.
okay,
We're gonna strike that
Mm.
and just start with the person's name. So the paragraph is just gonna be a sentence long saying whatever her name is, of J&M Wetland Consulting Company, presented the report of her company and did a soil test.
okay, no problem.
And we need to change the end of that. It presented the report of her company, which included a soil test study. Does that make sense? Better sense?
Thank you.
Okay. With that correction, is that a motion to approve with the
Yes.
correction? Okay. Do we have a second to that?
Second?
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 All right, we got 2 down, so now I'll find the December 15th ones and send them out to everybody. There was a second page. Where'd the second page go? I don't know where the second page went. Anyway, what else do we normally have on our agenda?
Correspondence?
Oh, enforcement officer's report. I can report that we have an enforcement officer, and his name is Curtis Bosco, and he is from Middlebury. He's also the zoning enforcement officer. He's trained in wetlands, hasn't done a lot with wetlands, but he's trained in wetlands. So at least we have somebody to staff the office and all that other good stuff.
Will he be coming to the meeting?
You know, unless there's a reason for him to come, I don't really need people getting dragged in here just for the sake of dragging them in.
Nina always came, so that's the reason.
Yeah, no, I
She was
mean,
helpful,
she
too.
came, but I don't know. It's up to you. If you want him to come, I'll tell him he needs to come. If not, because he's part-time, I'm not sure how his hours work.
I mean, maybe just once to,
Just
Nice to meet him.
come and visit and
Maybe in
and we
March
can
just
meet and
once.
greet.
Yeah.
Okay.
And of course, for any reports that he has to deliver, would he do that reporting himself or by proxy?
What do you mean by proxy?
Through you, perhaps? I mean, if
He
he's
would,
not
se-
showing up, somebody's
he
gonna
would
have to
submit
speak
a
to him.
written report.
Okay. It'd be nice to be able to talk to him back and forth, if any questions arise with his reports. Anything, details he didn't.
I mean, the problem that I have to check with the selectman is, he's part-time, I don't know what his hours are, I don't know if we have a budget.
And we might be,
His
Yeah.
office hours are Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday from 9:30 to 2:30.
which means his volunteer, we're pressuring him to volunteer for these meetings. Huh?
And he's full-time in Middlebury, part-time in Middlebury, and he's part-time in Middlebury.
so he's keeping the Middlebury gig and then here? for
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, lots of towns do that.
Printed agendas, is that off the table? Like
He just came on board, so we were he was just coming on board. I'm trying to get an agenda done. You were out, so it was all of us trying to work together to see what was here, because he's in the office and he can see physically what's come in.
Yeah,
I
you have
knew
to keep in mind Veronica's still not here, so there's still 2 days a week that nobody's here, and
Thank you.
it's a lot.
Thank you.
Yeah. So we'll try to make it a little bit smoother for the next meeting. I will do an agenda for the site visit and get it to the town clerk's office so we can get that done. And other than that, we just have to hope that the snow goes down a little bit. We've scheduled a site inspection, so just for the sake of reiterating it, we're gonna have a site visit on Saturday morning at 8:30, meeting at 34 Hyann. I would suggest that you wear boots, because it's probably gonna still have some kind of snow out there, and then we'll go from there. Any other business which may come before the commission. At the moment, I don't know if we have any bills or not. I don't know. Kedrick, I sent out the thing about cause, and so Kedrick is gonna go. It's not a cheap thing, it's $150 a pop. Kedrick said he would go, I'm going, but not from Bethany, I'm going from Woodbridge, save the town a dime. So we'll get him registered, and I think that's the only thing I've got. Has anybody else got anything?
I have a question.
Sure.
There was a property on Bethmore Road that was a question of an illegal road that was on our agenda several times and postponed.
619, I think.
619,
Is
and
that
that's
a
where
dead
we were.
issue? Is that a...
It's not a dead issue, because we've had a change of administration and a change of attorney. I have not had a chance yet to speak, and quite honestly, at work, I've just been buried. And we're not gonna do anything at this time of year anyway. So no, it's something that we need to pay attention to. So I just wanna ask him how he wants us to approach it. The other thing is, now that we have an enforcement officer, you know, we may just use the Google pictures that are online showing that something's been done out there. And if nothing else, send a letter saying, you know, we'd like you to come in and explain what you did, or, you know, can we access the site, that kind of thing. But because we've had a prior history of I can't remember if it was a cease and desist that we had out there. Jim, you were out there, I think. We were out there a couple of years back. So anyway, no. So the short answer is no, we're not forgetting about it. We need to address it. With snow cover, it's not something that we can see at the moment, but we do have aerials that we can look at that clearly show that there was an extension. It wasn't a road, well, it was something. There was some clearing, and I don't honestly know why, because it's a wetland.
It looked like a dirt road,
Yeah.
kind of a
Well,
dirt path. So,
I don't know. So anyway, so we'll double check that. Anything else other than minutes for the 18th that we're catching up on minutes? And that's it. So thank you, Steph, for coming. And
Move to-
somebody left their coat?
Yeah.
That was
Move
from
to end.
P&Z, don't worry about it.
Oh, okay. That was, so now we need a motion to adjourn. Oh my God, look how late it is.
I move to adjourn.
Seconded.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, you turn the all eyes off.
Yep.
They're on.
See you on Saturday morning.
Yeah, but just wear boots, because
Just